Thank you very much for tuning into Pro Life Nova Scotia here. My name is John Michael, and this subject matter is ridiculously egregious. We have a whole bunch of dead children, and nobody's batting an eye. Nobody's batting an eye. They are just accepting the fact of just a woman's right to kill her own baby inside her. Well, first of all, it's not. It never is a right. A constitutionally protected right to kill. I mean, how ridiculously frightening is that? That idea is just complete nonsense, and it is the most it's a monstrosity beyond words. I mean, really, really. I mean, the type of video that I'm making here is not a joke. I mean, this is real serious. I mean, you're talking about people that would suggest, absolutely without any regret or anything, that it's to constitutionally protect a right. It's not a right, it's a decriminalization, so that could never be a right. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about what's going on here. Is that the law? No, it's not the law. I don't know. It's the justice system here will create the greatest injustice imaginable, is that it does not agree with medical science or whatever, and that's the real problem. So the Nova Scotia courts will, basically bow down to the corrupt politicians that have been bribed by the pharmaceutical industry to do what? To allow abortifacient birth control pills. What do you mean birth control pills? Right, that prevents pregnancy. No, it does not. All right, abortifacient birth control pills do not. The IUD and NuvaRing and the one that you just take like that. They don't actually prevent ovulation. The baby is conceived. It's a fully viable pregnancy, and the baby is very, very important, special, and unique. And the DNA is unlike any that has ever been. The 50% DNA from the father and 50% DNA from the mother, and there's a baby there, right? There's a baby there, and people like this, Dr. Michelle Dow, will actually be the ones responsible. She's the one that put her dirty signature on that prescription pad, and because of these drugs that will alter the endometrial lining. What kind of nonsense witchcraft is that? And I don't mean the term witchcraft lightly. If you look at the origins of the word pharmaceutical, pharmakia, that is sorcery. It's a type of sorcery. And it is. I mean, what are you doing? You're not preventing pregnancy at all, right? You're giving justification for a type of debauchery, right? A woman can go with multiple partners. I mean, for example, like me as a man, like what kind of wife would I? One of Dr. Dow's customers. I mean, why would I want that kind of woman for my wife, right? She had this guy and this guy and this boyfriend and this boyfriend and this boy. How many body counts does she have? Why is it permissible for a woman in today's society to have so many boyfriends, right? You keep your knickers on until the wedding night. I mean, that's the whole point of getting married. Yeah, divorce and all that stuff. No fault divorce. We're not really talking about societal issues here in today's video, which we should, but there's more to talk about for society and all that stuff, which has gone down the drain, right? It's really, really bad now. If you look at society and what is basically not only permissible but encouraged, right? These single moms are being, oh, you're strong and independent single mom. Well, first of all, you're on welfare, and second of all, you're on child support, so I don't know, strong and independent single mom. I mean, that's just a lie, right? It's a lie. That child is in danger because there's no dad to protect. There's no father to protect that child and all that stuff. We're not really talking about that, but you can guarantee that society is really, really. Well, I mean, it's by design, right? There's obviously somebody. A society doesn't just crumble like that by itself, right? There's something happening to our society that is creating that kind of nonsense. But what I was going to say is our lawmakers have been bribed by the pharmaceutical industry. And how do I know that? Well, let's say, for example, there's in back of me, there's coconut trees, right? And the coconut trees, they have beautiful, beautiful coconut. So let's say, for example, I were to put some poison in the roots. Yeah, poison. The trees, right? The poison will travel up the tree and into the fruit, and then you can eat the thing. You will be poisoned, right? So, a tree doesn't naturally produce, poison fruit. So lawmakers that do not have any undue influence from the bribes from the pharmaceutical industry do not just all of a sudden one day they wake up and say, oh, I think I'm going to craft legislation to favor the pharmaceutical industry. And don't get me wrong, man, they made billions and billions of dollars off these birth control pills. The problem is, and if you read the FDA's own publication, they do not prevent ovulation 100% of the time. It's only about a certain percentage of the time, and then, and only then, does the endometrial lining get affected, right? So when the baby is conceived it's a very natural, very healthy stage of development is implantation. Everybody that we see and we talk to has gone through this stage. It's called implantation. It's just another, random or arbitrary stage of development. But see, the problem is these guys will just say, oh, well, implantation is the starting of a pregnancy. Get out of here with that. I mean, what kind of nonsense are you putting forward? You're saying that the DNA that has the new DNA, the baby boy or baby girl, is not a baby until this arbitrary stage, which is, what I mean about arbitrary is that they are trying to suggest this nutty idea that this arbitrary, maybe arbitrary isn't the word, but a baby isn't a baby only at implantation. It certainly is not. That idea we can forget that idea. Medical science is clear. Embryology dictates, and we know this to be true in our hearts, that a baby is a baby when and then some people are actually saying this. Well, we should the sperm being wasted, is murder or something like that. What kind of nonsense? And I don't even believe for a minute that these people actually think that. Like I don't believe they actually think like that. They're just putting forth these wild, nonsensical arguments to try to derail the conversation. So we're going to get to this, but. Anyways, what I was saying is that embryology is clear. The conception of the baby, the embryo, is the most valuable, most important, most precious resource on the earth. There cannot be any kind of more value, right? Any kind of gold or supercar or mansion or castle or the tallest mountain to the deepest trench in the ocean. There's nothing more valuable than the moment where the sperm meets the egg, right? That's the most important thing. And what are they trying to destroy? The most precious thing, right? And that's where I am here, because my family is actually involved in this ridiculous crime. My family is involved in this horrific atrocity where we share the same grandfather. We literally share the same grandfather. He died in the war. The guy was fighting in the war. He was fighting in the war, and he died in the war. He was a soldier. He died in the war. He got drafted, whatever that story is. Drafted into a foreign war or whatever, and he got drafted in the war. And then we could go on a tangent about military conscription and all this stuff, but how about not? How about we just stick with the official story about that? Yeah, we're gonna stick with the official story. Does that make sense? I don't know, but anyway, so he got drafted in the war. He died, and he fought honorably for his country. Right. So let's stick with that. Whatever. So my grandfather, imagine at that time, he's fighting in the war, and a lot of his friends, came back or whatever, but he was left behind. His body was destroyed with these guns, and he I don't know what happened. He was fighting. My grandfather, yeah, and we share the same grandfather. He died honorably in the war, and then my family member destroys embryos, and she murders children. Oh, it's not murder because the law says... Well, okay, we'll get to that. Trust me, we will get to that on Pro-Life Nova Scotia. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you don't agree, well, you're wrong. And if you do agree, click like and subscribe. All right, so we are going to talk about it now. Should I restart the video? Maybe it's okay. We'll just keep on going. I'm trying to make some short videos because people don't like listening to long videos. I don't know. It's just a mind game to them. I'm not really doing this for the views. I just got to get this out because, this is ridiculously... All right, so declaratory relief, right? So let's say, for example, we were filing action in the Supreme Court of Nova Scotia. What would we fight for criminal indictments? Criminal indictments would be great. We should fight for criminal indictment because, this lady here, the Dr. Michelle Dow, deserves life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for 25 years, right? Served concurrent for every single child that she killed, right? That is the sentence that is appropriate for this kind of crime, right? Anybody going to challenge me on that? A little bit of rain here. That's all right. I think I'm okay. If it starts raining, I'm gonna move the camera. All right. So one more time, right? So what is the actual thing that happened, right? She killed babies, right? She killed babies. You cannot, in Canadian law, get a consecutive sentence for multiple murderers that would give you a lengthier parole ineligibility period, right? So you cannot that cannot happen in Canadian law. But in Canadian law, there's a problem where they do not accept medical science. All right, they do not accept medical science. What kind of nonsense is that? The law, and that in itself proves that the administration of justice into that specific country, I don't live in that country anymore because it's a whole bunch of nonsense. I might move this camera because, I mean, the whole point about law is supposed to, we should agree with medical science. I mean, come on. Where can it be? Let me see. Right here somewhere. Yes, we can be here. Right over here. I'm building. So, all right, so declaratory relief. And then what about... a class action lawsuit, a civil trial. Well, yeah. I mean, everyone that has been has a child that has been lost, right? So that's the thing, right? I'm missing a 10-year-old. Right? That's as simple as that. I'm missing a 10-year-old. This is not an idea of a 10-year-old that may have happened. No. This child was certainly conceived and alive and very beautiful, right? René Julien, which is the name of the child that was lost. Oh man, that's what a tragic loss. What a tragic loss, yeah. A very beautiful evening here I'm in a South Pacific island. That's, why would I want to live in Canada anymore? I mean, if you live in Canada and you pay taxes, you are supporting taxpayer-funded abortions, right? Taxpayer-funded abortions, right? All right, so declaratory relief, right? So basically the idea is that we should forget about any kind of class action lawsuit. We should forget about any kind of criminal indictments because they don't indict criminals for murdering hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of children. I mean that would be just nonsense because the politicians get bribed from the pharmaceutical industry and a whole bunch of feminists started chanting "my body, my choice" and all this stuff. Well, first of all, a crime can never be a right? So it could be a decriminalization, but decriminalization can never be constitutionally protected. Anything that's decriminalized, okay, for example, drugs. All right, drugs. Yeah, that's decriminalized, right? It's wrong. It has been decriminalized, but can it be constitutionally protected? Well, I suppose, but murder, right? And that's where the law is written in our hearts. Thou shalt not kill, right? But that's the thing. They like to kill, and it's fashionable, right? It's fashionable to destroy an embryo. Why? Because the career and all this stuff. Don't get me started. I mean, yeah, you want to go with the rape and all this stuff. First of all, no. Okay, there's how many times how many times is a woman gonna get raped, and how many times is she gonna go and have the actual abortions or the birth control? So birth control and abortions. Well, birth controls are better because they don't actually. First of all, yes, they do. It's the exact same thing, right? There is a death, and there's a life, right? There is a life, and you can never take that away. All right, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to start this video again, or make another one, get into further detail about this, right? Thank you very much for tuning out. See you guys in the next one.